Your avatar, yourself, beyond the body's game. Introduction. Have you ever confronted your reflection, only to find a stranger gazing back? Not because a sudden metamorphosis has altered your features overnight, but because the person you feel yourself to be within no longer aligns with the visage presented. It is a subtle, persistent ache, a knowing doubt that whispers of inadequacy, of being fundamentally amiss. We inhabit a world that relentlessly bombards us with idealized images, propelling us toward an ever-receding horizon of perfection, a flawless physique, an unblemished countenance. This ceaseless pursuit can devolve into an exhausting campaign, but what if we have been waging this war on the wrong terrain entirely? What if our very perception of ourselves, our intrinsic value, is the very impediment holding us captive? Envision yourself stepping into a vividly rendered digital realm. You are granted the power to sculpt your character, your avatar. You may dictate their coiffure, their attire, even their very build. You arm them with the most formidable armaments, and they embark on sagas of epic proportion. Now, consider this digital proxy. If your in-game persona accrues a few extra pounds from the consumption of virtual delicacies, does that render you, the architect of their existence, an immediate failure? Does it diminish your strategic acumen, your tactical prowess, or the sheer exhilaration of the experience? Assuredly not. You are the player, the locus of decision, the consciousness that navigates this simulated universe. The avatar is merely the corporeal manifestation, the visual conduit. In virtual landscapes, such as Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption, the character's appearance is subject to radical transformation. They might bear the marks of conflict, don new ensembles, or even cultivate a hirsute beard. Yet, the player, the very essence of your engagement, remains immutable. This serves as a potent paradigm for comprehending our own existence. Your physical form is your avatar, but it is not you. You are the player, the sentient spirit, the consciousness that animates this vessel. For an unconscionable duration, we have been indoctrinated with the belief that our worth is inextricably linked to the superficial attributes of our avatar. We solicit accolades for our outward appearance and, when bestowed, experience a fleeting elevation. However, this external validation is inherently precarious, akin to a sandcastle succumbing to the relentless embrace of the tide. Its existence is entirely contingent upon the ephemeral judgments of others, the capricious whims of fleeting trends, and superficial assessments. The verity is that which truly endures, that which imbues us with an unshakable sense of self, transcends the observable qualities of our avatar. It resides within the player. When you cultivate an authentic sense of self-assurance, when you project an inner fortitude, the external becomes a secondary concern. Beings are invariably drawn to this inherent luminescence, this confidence that remains steadfast amidst the transient gazes of the world. This is the profound essence of what we term internal self-worth. It is a deep-seated, unassailable conviction of one's inherent value and acceptance, bestowed simply by virtue of one's existence. It remains unaltered by the avatar's fluctuations in weight, the recession of hair, or the accumulation of wrinkles. It is an internal bulwark, a quiet certainty that your essential being is sound and deserving, irrespective of your avatar's outward presentation. It mirrors the profound sense of mastery and joy you derive as a player, unbound by the sartorial choices of your digital counterpart. This treatise extends an invitation to disengage from the relentless skirmish for external validation and to unearth the authentic wellspring of your power. We shall embark on an exploration to delineate the boundaries between your avatar and the player residing within, cultivating and fortifying that indispensable internal self-worth. You will discover methodologies for forging a confidence that is liberated from the dictates of your reflection, a resilience capable of weathering any physical metamorphosis. If you stand prepared to relinquish the dominion of your avatar over your intrinsic value and embrace the unyielding strength of the player, then this odyssey is unequivocally for you. The grand game of self-worth is not contested on the superficial plane. Its victory is secured from the very core. Chapter 1. Understanding the game of self-image. 1. The mirror and the mind. We stand before the looking glass with an almost ritualistic frequency, a daily appointment with our own visage. In that fleeting instant of recognition, a narrative, intricate and swift, unfurls within the chambers of our mind. It is a comforting, perhaps even a deceptive, notion to regard the mirror as an unvarnished chronicler, a faithful arbiter of truth. Yet, a subtle revelation lies in wait. The mirror does not merely present the contours of our face or the architecture of our form, it reveals what our mind permits it to reflect. Our inner world, steeped in the sediment of our history, anxieties, and the accumulated wisdom of our experiences, functions as an inimitable lens. Consider this phenomenon. Have you ever, on one sunlit morning, met your gaze and exulted, magnificent, only to confront the very same reflection the subsequent day, your physical self unaltered, and inwardly grown, abysmal? What seismic shift occurred? Your body did not undergo a nocturnal metamorphosis. The mirror did not acquire a new, more unforgiving aperture. The transformation was solely within the theater of your mind, and the story it meticulously spun about the spectacle before it. Herein lies the genesis of the true contest. We have been subtly, and at times overtly, indoctrinated with the belief that our intrinsic value is inextricably bound to our outward appearance. The glossy pages of periodicals, the flickering narratives on our screens, even the casual currents of conversation, all conspire, through whispers or resounding declarations, to equate a particular aesthetic with a quantifiable worth. Consequently, when we engage with our reflection, our minds become vigilant scouts, scanning for corroboration of these deeply embedded pronouncements. It is akin to a digital arena where your character's vitality gauge hovers precariously low, and your focus fixates solely on the crimson, pulsating alerts, oblivious to the inherent resilience that still empowers the protagonist. Our minds, too, can become ensnared by these perceived low health indicators of our physicality, rendering us blind to the overarching strength and essence of the player orchestrating the experience. Let us delve more profoundly into the nature of these mental filters. Envision yourself immersed in a virtual realm, having meticulously selected your digital avatar. You possess the agency to modify its attire, its cranial hue, its arsenal. Yet, the player, the sentient consciousness orchestrating these decisions, the one truly inhabiting the experience, remains immutable. In a parallel fashion, our corporeal form serves as our avatar. We possess the capacity to sculpt its appearance through dietary discipline, physical exertion, sartorial choices, or even the subtle artistry of hairstyling. We are prone to the comforting delusion that by altering the avatar, we will, by some alchemical process, transmute the player, or at the very least, elevate the player's subjective experience. We persuade ourselves, if I shed 10 pounds, I will finally embrace self-assurance. Or with this new ensemble, I shall finally feel at peace with myself. However, more often than not, these alterations yield only a transient effervescence, akin to a fleeting power-up in a game, that quickly dissipates. The fundamental impediment is not resident within the avatar's statistical attributes. It resides within the player's deeply ingrained belief system. Our minds are furnished with inherent settings, convictions absorbed and assimilated over the passage of time. Perhaps, in the tender years of childhood, you were subjected to pronouncements such as too plump or too gaunt. These utterances, however casually delivered, can become deeply embedded filters. Thus, when you confront your reflection, your mind automatically amplifies any perceived imperfection that aligns with those archaic convictions. It is as if the game is pre-programmed to signal a red alert every time you traverse a specific digital terrain, irrespective of your actual well-being. I recall a particularly distressing episode of a severe cutaneous eruption preceding a significant engagement. I spent an agonizing expanse of time before the mirror, my attention ruthlessly fixated upon those crimson blemishes. My mind, a tempest of self-recrimination, shrieked, "Every eye will alight upon these." You are a spectacle of unattractiveness. A profound sense of worthlessness enveloped me. I was so consumed by the perceived flaw in my avatar that it eclipsed all other facets of my being. I forgot the gravitas of my intended contributions, the depth of my compassion, the loyalty I offered as a friend. All that mattered was the perceived imperfection etched upon my skin. It was only much later, in the quietude of a conversation with a confidante, that the magnitude of my self-inflicted subjugation became apparent. My friend, incidentally, did not allude to my complexion. Her discourse revolved around a collaborative endeavor, praising the perspicacity of my conceptualizations. It was a moment of profound revelation. My mind, in its zealous critique of the avatar, had utterly disregarded the player's actual capabilities and contributions. This is the insidious illusion of control that so frequently ensnares us. We labor under the misapprehension that by rectifying our reflection, we can mend our intrinsic sense of worth. We embark on rigorous exercise regimens, adhere to stringent dietary protocols, acquire the latest ephemeral fashion trends, or even contemplate elective surgical interventions. And indeed, the stewardship of our physical vessel is paramount for holistic well-being. However, when the sole objective of these endeavors is the attainment of a feeling of worthiness, we have fundamentally misconstrued the essence of the pursuit. We are attempting to refine the reflection by polishing the mirror itself, rather than addressing the origin of the image. We endeavor to manipulate the avatar's outward appearance to assuage the player's internal disquiet, rather than empowering the player to embrace contentment irrespective of the avatar's current presentation. The true wellspring of power, the genuine catalyst for transformation, resides within our internal narrative. The stories we meticulously craft for ourselves possess an extraordinary potency. If your inner monologue is relentlessly engaged in castigating your physique, it can engender a profound sense of shame, even in the face of robust health and demonstrable capability. It is akin to having an internal commentator who exclusively enumerates your character's missteps, conspicuously omitting any mention of their triumphs. Conversely, if you cultivate a more benevolent, more accepting inner voice, you can begin to perceive your reflection through an entirely different prism. This does not imply a willful ignorance of your physical health or a feigned acceptance of imperfection. Rather, it signifies a recognition that your intrinsic worth is not a quantifiable metric derived from your outward appearance. Consider this reframing. What if, instead of interrogating your reflection with, "Do I measure up today?" you pose the inquiry, "How am I feeling in this moment?" Or, "For what am I currently expressing gratitude?" This subtle recalibration shifts the locus of attention from the external spectacle to the internal reception. It is an exercise in altering how you perceive the image that confronts you. Your objective is not the attainment of an immaculate reflection, rather, it is the cultivation of a mind that is less judgmental, more embracing, and capable of discerning beyond the superficial. It is analogous to learning to savor the melody of a symphony rather than merely counting the individual notes. Permit us to explore another illustrative scenario. Envision Sarah, a woman perpetually burdened by a degree of self-consciousness regarding her corpulence. She has traversed the arduous landscape of countless dietary regimens, witnessing the ebb and flow of her weight. During periods of weight reduction, she experiences a transient surge of self-assurance. She adorns herself in more vibrant attire, her countenance radiating a brighter disposition. Yet, as soon as a few pounds insidiously resurface, her confidence plummets precipitously. She withdraws, her inner voice resuming its insidious murmurings. "See? You lack even the capacity to govern this. You are undeserving of solace." The mirror transforms into a formidable adversary, ruthlessly highlighting every curve she deems undesirable. Now, imagine Sarah beginning to apprehend the profound concept of intrinsic self-worth. She commences to regard her physical form not as a report card bearing a grade, but as the indispensable vessel through which she navigates the tapestry of existence. She recognizes that her innate kindness, her intellectual acuity, her capacity for humor, These are the qualities that truly define her essence, not the numerical value displayed on the scale. She embarks on a journey of self-compassion. When she encounters her reflection and perceives a change that displeases her, rather than subjecting herself to harsh self-recrimination, she might articulate, "Very well, this is my present state. My body is endeavoring its utmost. What actions can I undertake to foster a sense of health and vitality, not for the superficial pursuit of aesthetic perfection, but for the profound purpose of cultivating inner contentment?" This is the undertaking of reprogramming those entrenched mental configurations. It is the art of recognizing when your mind automatically highlights a perceived deficiency and gently redirecting its focus. It mirrors the approach of a skilled gamer who, upon experiencing a setback, pauses to analyze the situation and strategize their subsequent maneuver. They comprehend that a single misstep does not signify the conclusion of the game. The pervasive societal pressures to conform to a prescribed aesthetic are unyielding. They orchestrate a relentless onslaught of imagery and messaging that perpetuates the notion of inadequacy. These insidious influences permeate our consciousness and become the very fabric of our internal dialogue. Consequently, when we engage with our reflection, we are not merely observing ourselves. We are perceiving ourselves through a lens meticulously crafted by these external forces. We are witnessing the embodiment of what we believe we ought to represent, and subsequently judging ourselves against a standard that is frequently beyond the realm of human attainment. This is the very reason why the game of self-image proves so profoundly complex. We operate under the assumption that by modifying the external, the avatar, we can effect a change in our internal emotional state. However, the internal experience, our intrinsic self-worth, is a profound and enduring sense of value that emanates from within. It is not contingent upon the volume of accolades received, the slenderness of our physique, or the perceived flawlessness of our complexion. It is the quiet, steadfast assurance of our inherent goodness and worthiness, precisely as we are. When we achieve a genuine comprehension of this fundamental truth, the mirror begins its metamorphosis from a stern inquisitor into a detached observer. It simply mirrors that which is present, and our minds, no longer predisposed to seek out fault, can perceive it. Devoid of the oppressive weight of self-condemnation, we can commence to appreciate our bodies for the myriad capabilities they afford us: the ability to ambulate, to express joy through laughter, to offer solace through embrace, to engage with the world in all its richness. We can perceive the inherent strength in our limbs, the eloquence in our gaze, the resilience of our integument, not as faultless specimens, but as functional, beautiful components of our unique avatar. The analytical interrogations we pose are of paramount importance in this context. How have these societal pressures specifically infiltrated and shaped your internal discourse? It transcends a mere aspiration for corporeal leanness. It encompasses that persistent, insidious voice that asserts, if you are not slender, you possess no inherent value. Can you identify a specific juncture where your mind's interpretation of your appearance precipitated a sensation of inadequacy, even when others perceived you quite differently? Perhaps you experienced a palpable sense of awkwardness at a social gathering, convinced that your attire was unbecoming, while your companions were unequivocally lauding your wit and charm. The operative filter was your own internal critic, utterly convinced that your physical presentation was the sole determinant of others' perceptions. What are the underlying programs or settings within your psyche that dictate the significance your reflection holds for you? Are they inextricably linked to insecurities harbored from childhood? Do they stem from the pervasive messaging disseminated by media outlets? Or are they echoes of past rejections? The act of identifying these ingrained programs represents the inaugural step toward their meticulous deconstruction and subsequent rewriting. It is akin to discovering a critical glitch within a video game that is precipitating systemic malfunctions. Once identified, the process of rectification can commence. Just as a seasoned gamer learns to interpret the on-screen data pertaining to their avatar not as an immutable reality, but as a component within a broader, more immersive experience, so too must we endeavor to perceive our reflection not as an immutable verdict, but as a stream of data. This data, however, only attains meaningfulness when processed by a mind that has liberated itself from the shackles of outdated programming. The subsequent phase in mastering this intricate game involves the proactive initiation of rewriting those internal scripts, transitioning from passive observation of the mirror to the deliberate cultivation of a resilient, self-accepting consciousness. This is the pathway through which we commence the construction of our intrinsic self-worth, a bastion of strength that no reflection, however critical, can ever diminish. 2. Weight and worth. We inhabit a world that often presents itself as a grand, intricate game, does it not? Within this sprawling virtual landscape, our bodies function as our avatars, the digital persona we inhabit, command, and project outward. An inordinate amount of our focus is devoted to the visual presentation of this avatar, its aesthetic appeal, its sartorial choices, and its physical condition. For a significant portion of humanity, the paramount concern within this avatar-centric paradigm is body weight. Consider the ceaseless barrage of messages we absorb daily. They permeate every facet of our existence, flickering across television screens, gracing the glossy pages of magazines, populating the digital ether of social media, and even woven into the casual fabric of conversations with friends. These pervasive narratives frequently distill complex realities into a deceptively simple, yet profoundly influential, equation: a diminished, more slender avatar equates to a person of inherent goodness, demonstrable success, and intrinsic worth. Conversely, a more substantial avatar is often implicitly, and sometimes overtly, associated with traits such as indolence, a lack of accomplishment, or an insufficient lovability. This is the insidious societal weight-worth calculus, a game mechanic so deeply embedded within our collective consciousness that it dictates our perception of personal value. It posits that if our avatar's weight deviates from a prescribed norm, then we ourselves are fundamentally unworthy. This dogma manifests in the relentless tide of dietary advertisements peddling swift, ephemeral solutions, in the beauty industry's incessant pronouncements that bodily alteration is the sole pathway to true attractiveness, and in the hushed whispers that dissect an individual's physique as if it were a personal moral failing. It is as if society has decreed that a specific numerical reading on the scale constitutes the ultimate victory, and any deviation signals a forfeiture of the game. This unremitting pressure contorts our perception, tethering our intrinsic human value to the arbitrary accumulation of pounds. The sheer exhaustion of this constant scrutiny diverts our attention outward, towards the avatar, rather than inward, towards the player, who truly animates it. This is precisely where the analogy of the game illuminates our perspective with remarkable clarity. Envision yourself immersed in a sprawling adventure, perhaps within the expansive worlds of Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. You possess your character, your avatar, right? Now, what if this in-game persona indulges in an excessive virtual repast, leading to a slight augmentation of its digital girth? Does this alter your capacity to commandeer vehicles, successfully execute missions, or traverse the vast virtual terrain? Does it diminish the sheer enjoyment of the game or render your own player skills obsolete? Not in the slightest. Your character's appearance may undergo a subtle transformation, perhaps adopting a more rounded silhouette, but the player you remains fundamentally unchanged. Your proficiency, your strategic acumen, your very engagement with the game remain entirely unassailed by your avatar's digital waistline. This mirrors with uncanny precision our lived experience. Our physical weight is an attribute of our avatar, our corporeal form. It is an element of the visual tableau we present to the world. However, it does not, and indeed should not, serve as the determinant of the player, the irreducible core of our being. Our intellect, our compassion, our ingenuity, our capacity for humor, our profound ability to love and be loved, these are all Qualities of the player, the authentic self. They are not inscribed within our adipose tissue. They are not quantifiable by our body mass index. They are inherent, immutable. The ultimate objective of the game, which is to navigate a life rich with fulfillment, to forge meaningful connections with others, and to continuously learn and evolve, remains constant, irrespective of our avatar's outward appearance. When our weight undergoes alteration, or indeed when our bodies manifest any form of change, it frequently ignites an internal conflagration. This internal conflict arises from our assimilation of societal dictates, the ingrained game mechanics that equate weight with worth. We begin to internalize the notion that a more substantial avatar signifies a diminished player, less deserving of affection, less capable of success. Yet, upon closer examination, upon the quieting of the external world's clamor, we may discern that the feeling of inherent worth has not actually transmuted within us. It is our belief concerning the significance of our weight that precipitates the distress. The player within may experience an unblemished sense of well-being, a profound capability, and unwavering worthiness even as the avatar's outward presentation shifts. True confidence, that deep-seated, enduring sensation of value and self-acceptance, is not a reflection of our avatar's dimensions. It is an internal fortitudinous resilience, a state of being that emanates from the player. This inner strength is impervious to alteration in our physical form, for its roots lie entirely beyond its influence. Consider individuals who possess an ineffable radiance, an undeniable magnetism that transcends their physical appearance. Have you encountered those who may not conform to the narrow, prescribed standards of conventional beauty, yet exude such an abundant vitality, such unshakable self-assurance, and such captivating allure that one is irresistibly drawn to them? They often embody an extraordinary degree of self-acceptance. This phenomenon I term the Jack Black principle. Jack Black stands as a quintessential exemplar. He is a performer of prodigious talent and a musician of considerable skill, and he has never succumbed to the pressure of emulating Hollywood's idealized slender physique. Instead, he wholeheartedly embraces his authentic self. He commands his avatar, and in doing so, transforms what might be perceived as imperfections, his stature, his effervescent stage presence, into integral components of his singular charisma. He does not strive to embody another's persona. He fully inhabits his own character, and this profound authenticity wields an extraordinary power. His worth is not tethered to a numerical value on a scale. It is palpably evident in his artistry, his wit, and his unadulterated joie de vivre. He demonstrates that when the player is robust and uninhibited, their spirit radiates through their avatar, rendering them both compelling and admirable. His confidence functions as an internal superpower, solidifying his status as a beloved figure. This encapsulates the very essence of intrinsic self-worth. It is the profound, unwavering conviction of one's own value and inherent acceptability originating from within, entirely divorced from any external validation. It is the profound understanding that one's core being is inherently good and worthy, irrespective of the body's appearance on any given day. Our weight may fluctuate, our hair may succumb to the silvering of time, our skin may bear the etchings of age, yet our fundamental worth as human beings remains immutable. It is akin to possessing a preeminent score in a game that can never be reset. The societal weight-worth equation operates as a relentless, pervasive force, intricately woven into the very fabric of our daily existence. Its reinforcement occurs through innumerable channels, often with such subtlety that its influence often escapes our conscious notice. Advertising ceaselessly bombards us with idealized imagery of slender, flawless physiques, implicitly asserting these as the sole acceptable standard. Media narratives frequently frame weight gain as an emblem of personal dereliction or a deficiency in self-discipline. Even the most innocuous of conversations can harbor this implicit judgment, where observations regarding an individual's appearance can readily be construed as a critique of their intrinsic worth. This ceaseless onslaught engenders a potent, almost subconscious, conditioning. Thinner signifies superior, larger signifies inferior. We internalize these messages, and they transmute into the governing rules of our personal games, dictating our self-perception. Let us delve more deeply into that compelling video game analogy, for it serves as an exceptionally potent lens through which to comprehend the intricate relationship between our physical form and our authentic selves. Consider the most immersive gaming experiences you have encountered. In titles such as Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption, your engagement transcends mere character control. You are, in essence, experiencing a world through their eyes. You make pivotal decisions, you meticulously craft strategies, and you forge a palpable connection with your avatar. Now, imagine your in-game avatar partaking in an overabundance of virtual burgers and fries. Their visual representation might subtly shift, perhaps their in-game stamina indicator might experience a marginal decrement. However, does this fundamentally alter your role as the player? Does it compromise your dexterity in driving, your precision in aiming, or your comprehension of the game's narrative and overarching objectives? Absolutely not. Your player character's appearance constitutes a superficial layer, an attribute of the avatar, yet it exerts no influence whatsoever on your capabilities as the player or the fundamental essence of the game itself. This presents a perfect parallel to the tapestry of our own lives. Our physical weight is an attribute of our avatar, our physical vessel. It is subject to alteration due to a myriad of factors: dietary habits, physical exertion, metabolic rates, stress levels, illness, or the simple natural ebb and flow of existence. Yet, just as the virtual comestibles do not diminish your prowess as a skilled gamer, these corporeal transformations do not, and indeed cannot, diminish the player dwelling within your true essence. Your intellect, your capacity for profound affection, your singular talents, your unique brand of humor, your indomitable spirit, these are all qualities intrinsically belonging to the player. They are not encoded within the measurements of your corporeal form. The grand game of life presents objectives that extend far beyond the superficial aesthetics of your avatar. The internal dissonance we experience when our weight undergoes transformation frequently originates from this deeply entrenched societal programming. We have been indoctrinated with the belief that a more expansive avatar signifies a lesser player. Consequently, when our avatar gains weight, we erroneously conclude that our player status has been somehow demoted. We begin to experience a diminution of confidence, a perceived decrease in attractiveness, and a pervasive sense of unworthiness, not because our intrinsic qualities have undergone any alteration, but because we have uncritically accepted external judgment as an objective truth. However, if we can truly internalize the profound concept of intrinsic self-worth, we can commence the process of disentangling the player from the avatar. The player, the authentic self, may in fact not feel any less valuable, even if the avatar's outward appearance has undergone a metamorphosis. Our worth is an internal state, a deeply embedded conviction in our own inherent goodness, entirely divorced from the outward manifestation of our bodies. When individuals such as Jack Black fully embrace their avatars, they are not negating their physical form. Rather, they are demonstrating that their self-worth is not contingent upon conforming to external ideals. They have come to recognize that the player residing within them is robust, gifted, and deserving of joy and recognition, irrespective of their avatar's dimensions. This emancipation allows their authentic spirit to radiate outward, bestowing upon them an extraordinary charisma and widespread adoration. Their perceived imperfections paradoxically become integral components of their unique and compelling identity. This is not an advocacy for neglecting our bodies or our health. Rather, it is a profound recognition that our intrinsic value as human beings is not dictated by our weight. It is an understanding that the player's true power resides in their essence, not in their outward appearance. The bedrock of this comprehension lies in the profound concept of intrinsic self-worth. It is that deep, unshakable conviction that one is valuable and acceptable simply by virtue of existence, irrespective of one's outward appearance, one's accomplishments, or the opinions of others. It is the quiet, potent awareness that one's core being is inherently good, worthy, and complete, impervious to any external shifts. Our weight may experience fluctuations, our appearance may evolve with the passage of time, yet our fundamental value as individuals remains steadfast. This represents the ultimate high score, an unassailable achievement. This intrinsic self-worth serves as the foundational pillar upon which genuine confidence is erected. It is not predicated on an illusion of perfection, nor on the notion of a flawless avatar. Rather, it is rooted in the profound understanding that, even amidst imperfections and transformations, one's core self is inherently worthy. It is the player's quiet assurance, knowing that their value is not contingent on the avatar's statistical readouts. Therefore, when we engage in discourse regarding weight and worth, we are, in essence, dissecting the game that the world imposes upon us and the game that we, at times, inflict upon ourselves. It is a game where the rules are frequently inequitable and the scoring system is deliberately skewed to prioritize the superficial. However, as with any engaging game, an understanding of its underlying mechanics is the indispensable first step toward mastery. We possess the agency to disavow the external, weight-centric dictates. We can begin to recognize that our worth is not a prize to be attained through a specific corporeal form, but rather an inherent endowment, residing deep within. The ultimate objective of the game, after all, is not the attainment of a perfect avatar. It is to experience life in its fullness, to embrace exploration, to cultivate connections, and to foster personal growth. These are all achievements at the player level, and they stand entirely independent of the avatar's physical dimensions. Just as the game's ultimate purpose remains constant regardless of the avatar's current attributes, our inherent value as individuals is not dictated by the perpetually shifting metrics of our physical form. The subsequent stage in comprehending this game of self-image involves recognizing that, beyond the superficial health bars and appearance sliders of our avatar, lies the true player, the very essence of who we are. Now, let us embark on an exploration of how this player can commence to truly comprehend and cultivate its own inherent power, unburdened by the perceived imperfections of the avatar. 3. Avatars in video games. Imagine booting up a video game only to be met with character creation before the adventure truly begins. You might choose a hulking warrior or a nimble rogue, then meticulously sculpt their features, hair color, attire, even stature. This digital persona, the one you see on screen and command with your controller or keyboard, is your avatar. Consider this avatar for a moment. Let's say you're immersed in a world like Grand Theft Auto. You craft a character, perhaps a sharply dressed executive. Yet, the game relentlessly hurls you into unforeseen predicaments. Your character might find themselves in high-speed chases, plummeting from dizzying heights, or indulging perhaps a bit too freely in the virtual world's culinary offerings. Over time, your executive might gain a few pounds, his suit could become rumpled, his hair disheveled. He might appear somewhat unkempt, or even heavier than when you first selected him. Does this transformation alter your experience of the game? Does it diminish your driving prowess? Does it impede your mission completion? Not in the slightest. You remain the same player, equipped with the same capacity for strategy, reaction, and narrative engagement. The weight gain, the messy hair, these are mere transient states of your avatar within the game's dominion. They are visual embellishments, consequences of the game's mechanics, yet they leave untouched the genuine you, the player, who orchestrates every decision and revels in every pleasure. You can even opt to alter your character's appearance later, or embark on an entirely new quest with a fresh avatar. The player endures unchanged. This, in essence, is the foundational concept for comprehending our existence beyond the confines of our physical forms. Our bodies, much like those video game avatars, are our conduits to the tangible world. They are the instruments through which we interact with our surroundings and navigate the tapestry of life. And akin to a video game avatar, our physical manifestation is subject to change. We may gain or shed weight, our hair might silver, our skin may etch with lines, we could sustain an injury or fall ill. These are all alterations to our avatar, our corporeal vessel. But here lies the critical juncture, the truth, so easily overlooked. These shifts in our avatar do not redefine our intrinsic being. They do not erode our intellect, our compassion, our wit, our capacity for love, or our inherent dignity as individuals. That is the player residing within, the authentic self, the very essence of your existence. This player is paramount. This player possesses immeasurable value. Reflect on how frequently we tether our self-worth to our avatar's outward presentation. We scrutinize a photograph, fixating on a perceived imperfection, a wrinkle, a few extra pounds, a day of unruly hair, and suddenly, our sense of value plummets. We muse, if only I looked like this, or if I could shed this much weight, then I would finally be happy and worthy. It's akin to declaring, I am a terrible player, because my character in Red Dead Redemption is somewhat overweight from excessive virtual pie consumption. It becomes patently absurd when viewed from a broader perspective. The video game avatar analogy serves as a potent lens through which to perceive this truth with clarity. Within games such as Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur Morgan's physical condition can undergo dramatic transformations. If he consumes a substantial amount of food, he can become overweight, his appearance visibly reflecting this. His clothing might feel tighter, his movements in certain animations perhaps a touch more sluggish. This is purely an in-game phenomenon, a visual manifestation of his virtual dietary habits. Yet, Arthur's ability to ride a horse, to aim and shoot, to untangle complex problems, to engage with the rich narrative and its characters, none of these fundamental capabilities are altered by his virtual girth. The player guiding Arthur, that is you, remains fully equipped to experience the game's profound depth and its inherent challenges. Your skill as a player is not dictated by Arthur's waistline. This disjunction between the avatar and the player is of paramount importance. We undoubtedly invest emotionally in our video game persona. We may feel a swell of pride when our avatar appears formidable, or a twinge of frustration if they falter in a demanding mission. However, this emotional engagement is typically rooted in the experience of playing the game. We rarely face an existential crisis if our avatar acquires a virtual scar or gains a few pounds. We comprehend it as an intrinsic element of the game's world and its established parameters. We recognize that the true us, the player, is distinct from that digital representation. Then why, one must ask, do we so often struggle to draw a similar distinction with our own corporeal forms? Society, the media, and at times, our own internal dialogues relentlessly assert that our physical appearance is of supreme consequence. They proclaim that our worth is inextricably linked to how our avatar presents itself. If our avatar is slender, youthful, and conventionally attractive, we are led to believe we are more deserving, more accomplished, more lovable. If our avatar deviates from these narrow archetypes, we are made to feel like failures, as if we are somehow lesser. It is as though the game we navigate in reality operates under a different set of rules, rules that dictate the avatar's appearance is everything. But what if we were to transpose the logic of video games onto our own lives? What if we were to acknowledge that our physical body is our avatar in the grand game of existence, and that the true player, the entity possessing inherent worth, is our consciousness, our spirit, our core self? Let us delve deeper into how the very nature of video game avatars challenges the notion that our bodies are immutable and definitive. In the realm of games, avatars are conceived for transformation. You might select a character with a particular aesthetic, only to dedicate hours to their customization. You could transition their hairstyle from short and spiky to long and flowing. You can exchange their armor for something more ostentatious, or perhaps more practical. In certain games, you can even fundamentally alter the character model, opting for a different race or gender. This perpetual capacity to modify and adapt the avatar's appearance is integral to the gaming experience. It underscores that the avatar is not a static, unchangeable entity, but rather a fluid representation capable of being shaped and evolved. This presents a stark contrast to how we often perceive our own physical forms. We can feel ensnared by our corporeal selves, as if it were an unalterable costume from which we can never extricate ourselves. Yet, if we genuinely embrace the avatar analogy, we recognize that our physical body, much like a game character, is also susceptible to change. Our bodies age, they heal, they adapt. And even if we cannot magically alter our skeletal structure or our height, we can influence numerous aspects of our physical being through our deliberate choices, our diet, our exercise regimen, our fashion sense, our grooming practices. These are all avenues through which we, as players, can customize and adapt our avatars within the game of life. The very design of avatars for change and evolution in video games highlights that their outward appearance is not the entirety of their story. It is the gameplay, the interaction, the experience that truly holds significance. Now, let us turn our attention to the matter of emotional investment. When we engage with video games, we frequently infuse our avatars with a considerable degree of emotion. We might experience a surge of elation when our character achieves a monumental victory, or a pang of sorrow when they encounter a setback. We may even develop a sense of attachment to them, particularly if we have invested a significant amount of time in their company. This emotional bond is genuine, but it is typically anchored in the experience we are deriving through the avatar. We cherish our characters because of the shared adventures, the trials we have collectively overcome, the narrative we have lived. However, this emotional investment in a video game avatar differs fundamentally from how we often anchor our self-worth in our physical bodies. When we equate our self-worth with our appearance, it transcends merely the experience of inhabiting our bodies. It extends to the belief that our value as a person is directly determined by the visual aspect of that body. If our avatar is perceived as attractive, we feel worthy. If it is not, we feel worthless. This is precisely where the analogy transforms into a potent instrument for healing. The divergence illuminates something profound about the nature of true identity. When you feel a sense of satisfaction with your video game avatar's appearance, it is a pleasant sensation, an enhancement to your enjoyment of the game. But if your avatar presents in a certain manner and you consequently feel diminished, it signals a misapprehension where you are erroneously equating the avatar with the player. The player's skill, their personality, and their enjoyment of the game are intrinsic qualities. They are not contingent upon the avatar's visual appeal. Similarly, our internal attributes, our character, our benevolence, our resilience, our capacity for joy, are the genuine measures of our worth. They are the player's attributes, not the avatar's. The game of self-image, as it is frequently played within our society, is fundamentally rigged. It dictates that the most coveted achievements are attained by possessing a particular type of avatar. It subtly suggests that if your avatar fails to meet these prescribed standards, you are a failure, unworthy of participation. This game prioritizes the superficial, the avatar's metrics such as weight, age, or skin clarity, over the profound, internal qualities of the player. It is a game that promises happiness and acceptance through external validation, yet it seldom delivers. Consider this: in numerous video games, a visually arresting character might possess negligible strength or prove exceptionally challenging to control. Conversely, a character that appears unremarkable or even somewhat rugged can wield immense power and provide profound enjoyment due to their inherent skills and capabilities. This offers a vital lesson. We may have been conditioned to believe that a specific physical appearance represents the ultimate triumph, the hallmark of a successful player. Yet, in reality, It is the player's internal fortitude, their character, their capacity to navigate the world with kindness and resilience that truly defines their intrinsic value. Our inner sense of self-worth is that player. It is the core of our being, the consciousness that apprehends life. It exists independently of the avatar, the physical body. This inner self is inherently good and deserving. Its value does not fluctuate based on whether our avatar aligns with a size 2 or a size 12, whether it bears wrinkles or possesses unblemished skin, whether it is youthful and vibrant or aged and weathered. These are merely diverse aesthetics for the avatar, different phases of the game. The player remains constant, and the player's worth is immutable. This perspective does not advocate for the neglect of our physical health or well-being. Just as a proficient gamer meticulously maintains their equipment to ensure a seamless gameplay experience, we can attend to our bodies as they are the vessels that enable us to experience life. Consuming nourishing food, engaging in physical activity, ensuring adequate rest. These are all methods for optimizing our avatar for a richer gameplay experience. However, the rationale behind these actions is not that our worth is contingent upon them, but rather that a well-maintained avatar facilitates a more profound engagement with life. It is about augmenting the experience, not about earning validation. The pervasive illusion that our avatar's appearance is the ultimate arbiter of our value is a potent one, and it is a belief that many of us have been indoctrinated with from a tender age. We encounter it in periodicals, on television screens, in advertisements, and regrettably, at times, even in the pronouncements of anonymous individuals online. This ceaseless barrage of imagery and messaging conveys the imperative to constantly refine and perfect our avatar to achieve acceptance. Yet, the unvarnished truth is that the game of self-image, which elevates external appearance above all else, is profoundly deceptive. It is a game that compels us to pursue an ever-receding target, perpetually seeking affirmation from the external world. This pursuit is both exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling, as it diverts our attention from the true wellspring of our value, our internal sense of self-worth. Just as a gamer does not cease to exist or forfeit their identity if their character in Red Dead Redemption gains 20 pounds from an excessive indulgence in pie, so too can we begin to perceive our own physical forms as distinct from the enduring player that resides within. The subsequent step involves an exploration of how this potent distinction can commence the dismantling of the often unseen rules of the self-image game we have been taught to play and to cultivate the skills of the genuine player, the one who possesses inherent worth, irrespective. 4. True self. Yes. Physical self. Consider your most cherished video game. You possess a character, do you not? You can alter their attire, perhaps their hair color, and at times, their entire persona. They might accrue strength, velocity, or master new proficiencies. Yet, regardless of the transformations your on-screen counterpart undergoes, the act of playing remains undeniably yours. You are the player. Your lived experience, your deliberate choices, your strategic maneuvers, these are exclusively yours, distinct from the character's outward presentation. This very distinction is what we articulate when we assert that your authentic self transcends your corporeal form. Your body serves as your avatar in the grand game of existence. It is the extraordinary instrument through which you navigate the world, perceive sensations, and execute actions. It is the conduit for your engagement with your surroundings. But it is not you. Not the genuine, profound, essential you. Picture yourself engaged in a game featuring a formidable warrior avatar of exceptional caliber. You find delight in their appearance. Then, you might opt to transition to a clandestine rogue or a sagacious mage. Their visual aspects are entirely divergent, their capabilities dissimilar, yet the player, that remains you. Your intellect, your contemplations, your disposition, these remain unaltered by a mere shift in your character's sartorial choices. Life mirrors this phenomenon to a degree. Our physical vessels undergo transformations. We mature, we age, we may gain or shed weight, we acquire scars from minor collisions, Our hair undergoes a chromatic shift. These are akin to modifying your avatar's attire or its statistical attributes. They are integral to the unfolding experience, part of our interaction with the world, but they do not redefine the fundamental being beneath. The entity that contemplates, that feels, that cherishes, that acquires knowledge, that harbors aspirations, that entity is you, the player. Societal constructs, and at times our own internal dialogues, can beguile us into believing our avatar is paramount. We are bombarded by advertisements, cinematic narratives, and digital platforms, often conveying that beauty, slenderness, or flawless skin are the arbiters of our worth. It is as if the game itself proclaims, your score escalates only if your avatar conforms to this aesthetic. This can foster a conviction that our intrinsic value is inextricably linked to our avatar's outward appearance. When our avatar presents favorably, we experience a corresponding sense of self-approval. Conversely, when our avatar deviates from our perceived ideal, we may descend into despondency. This represents a potent illusion, one that is remarkably easy to succumb to. We begin to internalize the notion that an imperfect avatar equates to an unvalued self. We may find ourselves consumed by anxieties regarding wrinkles, superfluous weight, or cutaneous blemishes. We commence judging ourselves based on our avatar's current presentation rather than recalling the identity of the player. Yet, here lies a profound and liberating truth. Your essential self, the player, is eternally present and inherently worthy. This core essence is the locus of your unique personality. It is the repository of your benevolence, your wit, your intellectual acumen, your inventive spirit, and your fortitude. It is the facet of your being capable of profound affection for others, of surmounting adversity, and of discovering rapture in life's simple pleasures. This dimension of yourself is impervious to quantification by pounds, inches, or lines upon the skin. Its magnitude is immeasurable. Contemplate an individual you hold in high esteem. Perhaps they are a luminary scientist, a compassionate educator, a droll entertainer, or a resolute advocate. When you ponder the basis of your admiration, is it solely predicated upon their physical form? You admire them for their intellect, their empathy, their deeds, their spirit. You admire the player, not merely their avatar. The game mechanics governing our self-perception are critically significant here. If we subscribe to the belief that our worth is contingent upon our avatar, we shall expend all our energy, striving for its perfection. We will be in a perpetual state of apprehension regarding external judgments of our avatar. This breeds insecurity, and our self-esteem becomes analogous to a score susceptible to immediate forfeiture. But what if we elect to reconfigure these game mechanics? What if we decree that the player's inherent worth constitutes the actual score? This is the concept we term internal self-worth. It is the profound, enduring conviction of your inherent value and acceptance simply by virtue of your existence. This sentiment emanates from within, independent of your avatar's appearance or external validation. When you cultivate robust internal self-worth, the transformations of your physical avatar hold no power to destabilize your core. You may gain weight, experience hair loss, or age gracefully, yet your sense of being a good, worthy individual remains steadfast. This is because you apprehend that the player, your true self, is distinct from the avatar's mutable form. Consider figures such as the actor Jack Black. He does not conform to the conventional Hollywood archetype of leading man aesthetics. He is recognized for his larger stature, a characteristic he embraces with aplomb. Does this impede his capacity for immense charisma, humor, and talent? Absolutely not. He is celebrated for his authentic being. He exemplifies a player so self-assured and comfortable with their avatar that they can fully inhabit it and radiate brilliance. His confidence is not derived from a flawless avatar, it originates from the player within. He does not aspire to be another, but rather to be himself, and it is this very authenticity that renders him so captivating. This discourse is not an endorsement of neglecting physical health or well-being. Rather, it advocates for a reorientation of your primary source of value. It is about comprehending that your physical self is an integral component of your being, but it does not constitute your entirety. It is akin to appreciating your gaming console and controller, while recognizing that the true marvel unfolds within the world you construct and explore within the game itself. The societal pronouncements that tether our worth to our appearance function as incessant background static, a persistent anomaly within the game's architecture. They urge us to fixate on superficialities. However, we possess the agency to attenuate this noise. We can elect to concentrate on our inner landscape, our inherent strengths, and our character as a player. This transition is a deliberate act. It involves the realization that the opinions others hold regarding your avatar are precisely that, opinions concerning a representation. Your intrinsic value is a determination you make for yourself, from the inside out. It is the player granting the avatar license to be imperfect, for the player understands its own inherent magnificence. As you begin to perceive your body as your avatar, a vehicle for life's experiences, a tool for engaging with the world, you start to diminish the dominion that physical appearance wields over your self-esteem. You come to understand that alterations to your avatar are merely facets of the game's progression, not indicators of your inherent worth. This comprehension marks the pivotal initial stride toward forging an unassailable internal self-worth. It is the recognition that irrespective of the avatar's metamorphoses, the player remains constant, and that player is already sufficient. So, how do we commence living this reality? How do we cultivate a deeper awareness of this inner player? It begins with attentive observation. When you find yourself scrutinizing your avatar, your body, endeavor to pause. Pose the question, does this critique pertain to my actual worth, or is it a reflection of my avatar's current state? More often than not, you will ascertain it is the latter. It is analogous to playing a game, and your character sustains a minor abrasion or contusion. Does this render you an inept player? It is merely an event that transpired within the game. You may endeavor to mend them, but it does not signify your failure as a player. Your strategic aptitude, your decision-making prowess, your perseverance. These are the hallmarks of a proficient player. The same principle applies to life. Your kindness, your intellect, your diligence, your love, these are your player skills. They are the true determinants of your identity. When you dedicate yourself to nurturing and appreciating these player skills, the avatar's appearance recedes in importance. It retains significance as the means by which you experience the world, but it no longer possesses the authority to dictate your entire sense of self. This endeavor is not without its challenges. We have been conditioned by societal norms for an extended period to prioritize the avatar. It necessitates practice. It demands a conscious exertion to remind yourself, I am the player. My worth resides within me. Each instance you elect to value your actions, your thoughts, or your emotions above a transient contemplation of your appearance, you fortify your internal self-worth. You achieve victory in that particular round of the game. The inherent beauty of this perspective lies in its profound liberation. When you are not perpetually preoccupied with your avatar's presentation, you possess an abundance of energy and focus for pursuits of genuine consequence. You can engage more fully in your relationships, exhibit greater creativity in your endeavors, and experience more profound joy in your daily existence. You can allocate less time to comparing your avatar with those of others and more time to inhabiting your own unique game. This realization that your authentic self is distinct from your physical form forms the bedrock of genuine self-assurance. It is the understanding that even if the avatar sustains damage, undergoes alteration, or fails to conform to external standards, the player remains robust, capable, and fundamentally sound. This is the essence of internal self-worth, a profound, immutable belief in your own value, independent of any external determinant, most notably the mutable appearance of your physical manifestation. It is the knowledge that you are the player and the player is perpetually adequate, irrespective of the avatar's guise. This contemplation naturally leads us to ponder, if our physical self is merely an avatar, and our true self is the player, how then do we effectively engage in this game of life in a manner that fosters fulfillment and contentment? How do we redirect our focus from rectifying the avatar to empowering the player? This is precisely what we shall delve into next, as we explore the strategies for cultivating this potent internal sense of value. Chapter 2. Embracing your true avatar. 1. The power of self-love. At times, our fixation on corporeal appearance, on conforming to external expectations, eclipses the most vital connection we possess, that one with ourselves. It is akin to becoming so engrossed in a video game's pixels and graphics that the sheer joy of play, the unfolding narrative, or the ingenuity of our maneuvers is lost. When self-regard is absent, our physical form, our avatar, can feel like a prison, or worse, the very definition of our existence. This is the realm where self-love emerges, not as a superficial embellishment, but as the indispensable engine propelling all else. It is the clandestine ingredient that permits us to perceive our avatar for what it is, an integral component, certainly, but not the totality of our being. Consider this. When self-perception falters, when we relentlessly scrutinize our outward presentation, our body becomes an adversary. Each perceived imperfection magnifies into a monumental indictment of inadequacy. This deficit of self-love is the very mechanism that binds our entire sense of worth to our looks, fostering that belief that an imperfect avatar equates to an imperfect self. Such a state renders us profoundly vulnerable, compelling us to perpetually seek external validation, a reassuring nod that we are indeed acceptable. We become vessels adrift, untethered, buffeted by every gust of criticism or ephemeral trend in beauty. This is precisely how the absence of self-love actively perpetuates the illusion that our physical avatar constitutes our core identity, ensnaring us in a perpetual loop where our feelings about ourselves are inextricably linked to our body's momentary appearance, leaving us susceptible to the relentless pressures of magazines, social media, and casual commentary. We become convinced that our value is mutable, subject to the whims of a number on a scale or the emergence of a wrinkle. But what occurs when we consciously engage in the practice of self-love? It is akin to furnishing that adrift vessel with a robust and steadfast anchor. Self-love transcends mere affirmations whispered to one's reflection, though that can be a component. It is an active, ongoing commitment. It entails treating oneself with the same empathy, understanding, and deference one would extend to a cherished friend in distress. It is about attuning to one's needs, honoring one's emotions, and asserting one's boundaries, even when met with resistance. It is the recognition of one's inherent worthiness of care and compassion, not as a reward for specific achievements or aesthetic standards, but simply by virtue of existence. This is the active cultivation of self-love, a daily deliberate choice. Rather than deferring self-kindness until after achieving a certain weight, skin clarity, or professional milestone, we elect to be gentle with ourselves in the present moment. It is akin to tending a garden. One does not await the blossoming of flowers before watering or weeding. The diligent, consistent effort is what yields a beautiful outcome. Self-love is that sustained tending of the inner self. This active embrace of self-love forms the bedrock of authentic, enduring confidence. It is not the ostentatious bravado born of accolades or compliments. Rather, it is a quiet, unwavering inner certainty of one's inherent acceptability. This caliber of confidence is unburdened by the dictates of clothing sizes or facial symmetry. It emanates from within, much like the palpable energy of an individual such as Jack Black. Though not conventionally cast as a Hollywood heartthrob, he possesses an undeniable charisma and a commanding stage presence. From whence does this emanate? It flows from a deep reservoir of self-acceptance. He appears genuinely content in his own skin, expressing himself fully through his artistic endeavors without contorting into an inauthentic persona. His confidence is not predicated on his physique, but on his spirit, his passion, and his profound comfort with himself. This is the manifestation of self-love in action, empowering us to embrace our avatar, irrespective of its current form, size, or age. It is the internal affirmation that declares, "I am sufficient," regardless of external pronouncements or depictions. Therefore, the fundamental query we must pose to ourselves with unvarnished honesty is this: do you love you? The question, though seemingly rudimentary, possesses immense power. If the response is an unequivocal yes, then the journey is well underway, signifying an understanding that one's worth is not tethered to the ever-shifting facade of the avatar. However, if the answer is a tentative "I'm trying" or a subdued "not really," that too is acceptable. It simply indicates that the cultivation of self-love must ascend to the paramount position in one's priorities. This is a pilgrimage, not a static destination. The very act of posing the question, of acknowledging one's present state, marks the initial step on that path. And the intention, the profound desire to embrace oneself, is the propellant for this journey, the willingness to embark upon this adventure of self-discovery and self-acceptance, recognizing that the ultimate reward is a profound sense of peace and resilience that remains impervious to external forces. When self-love is truly embraced, the surrounding world undergoes a metamorphosis. The external benchmarks that once wielded such authority begin to recede. Metrics such as the number on the scale, comments on social media, or the perceived perfection of others' lives diminish in significance. The desperate pursuit of external approval dissipates. We cease chasing an unattainable ideal, for we already feel a deep sense of contentment with our core being. This is where the video game analogy truly resonates. Envision playing a beloved game. Does the enjoyment diminish if your character gains a few virtual pounds? Does your experience as the player wane because your avatar lacks the most sculpted physique or the most glamorous appearance? Assuredly not. You continue to engage, to explore, to strategize, and to revel in the progression. Your absorption in the game, your genuine experience, remains distinct from your avatar's visual presentation. Self-love bestows upon us this same capacity in our own lives, enabling us to live with full engagement, to embrace all that life offers without being deterred by our avatar's appearance. Our intrinsic self-worth remains inviolate, allowing us to navigate challenges and celebrate triumphs with an unwavering spirit. The profound beauty of this realization lies not in the denial of reality or the feigning of non-existent problems, but in the recalibration of our relationship with reality itself. It is the understanding that our physical form, our avatar, is a dynamic and ever-evolving vessel. It will age, it will transform, it will bear the imprints of experience. And this is not only acceptable, but natural. When we cultivate self-love, we can embrace these changes without allowing them to dictate our intrinsic value. We can perceive a new wrinkle not as a harbinger of decay, but as a testament to a life lived, to shared laughter, to accumulated experiences. We can view fluctuations in weight not as failures, but as natural occurrences within the human condition. This acceptance is profoundly liberating, freeing us from the ceaseless struggle against our own bodies and redirecting our energy toward the pursuit of a life rich in meaning and fulfillment. This odyssey of self-love is not invariably smooth sailing. There will be moments when the insidious whispers of self-criticism resurface, when comparisons to others feel overwhelming, or when discouragement takes hold. This is an entirely natural phenomenon. The crucial element is to resist allowing these moments to define us. When we falter, we rise again, not with punitive self-recrimination, but with gentle self-compassion. We remind ourselves of the progress achieved, of the inner fortitude already cultivated. We return to the practice, to the conscious decision to extend kindness to ourselves. This capacity for resilience, this ability to rebound from moments of self-doubt, is a hallmark of genuine self-love. It is the understanding that perfection is not the ultimate aim, growth and acceptance are. Ultimately, the power of self-love resides in its capacity to provide us with an anchor. It offers a stable, unshakable source of value that is entirely independent of our physical appearance or the judgments of others. It liberates us to embrace our avatar as an integral part of our unique narrative, rather than its sole determinant. As we nurture this profound, internal sense of worth, we become more resilient, more compassionate, and more authentically ourselves. We cease playing a game of pretense and instead inhabit our own being, fully and without apology. Once we grasp that self-love is the active force that enables us to perceive our avatar as distinct, we can then embark on examining the specific ways our internal monologue shapes this perception. The subsequent step involves the conscious rephrasing of that narrative, transforming self-recrimination into self-compassion, and thereby truly embracing the immutable power of our true self. 2. Confidence beyond looks. We are ceaselessly bombarded, through 1,000 subtle channels, with the imperative that our appearance is paramount. It is woven into the fabric of our entertainment, emblazoned across our advertisements, and even whispered in the ephemeral currency of casual conversation. We are indoctrinated with the notion that the presentation of our avatar, our physical form, dictates our intrinsic value, our capacity for love, and our potential for success. This is akin to a digital realm where a character's ornate armor or flamboyant hairstyle automatically confers mastery. But does the raiment truly transmute skill? Does an outfit's panache alter the precision of a swordsman's thrust or the acuity of a puzzle solver's mind? This incessant decree, linking our worth to our outward visage, can profoundly disorient our inner landscape. It fosters a pervasive sense of inadequacy, a feeling that we fall short unless we conform to a prescribed aesthetic. We become ensnared in the corrosive act of comparison, perpetually anxious about the slightest alteration in our appearance, and driven by a quest for validation as transient as a fleeting trend. It is an exhausting endeavor, is it not, to perpetually chase an ever-shifting ideal, forever feeling the sting of incompletion. This relentless pursuit of external approval, predicated on physical attributes, is akin to engaging in a game whose rules are in perpetual flux. We are left adrift in a sea of anxiety, ceaselessly measuring ourselves against others, while our authentic sense of self gradually atrophies. Yet, a truth, potent and liberating, awaits discovery. Your true self, the architect behind the avatar, possesses a reservoir of skills and qualities utterly divorced from the superficialities of your corporeal form. Reflect upon it. Within the confines of a game, a character might present a humble, unassuming exterior, yet harbor the keenest strategic mind, the most compassionate heart, or the bravest warrior spirit. Their appearance imposes no limitations on their prowess or their impact upon the game's unfolding narrative. The same holds true for us. Our intellect, our ingenuity, our capacity for profound affection, our tenacity in the face of adversity, these are the veritable strengths of the player. They are the faculties that empower us to navigate the complexities of existence, to forge meaningful bonds, and to surmount formidable obstacles. Consider those individuals you hold in high esteem. Is their renown solely attributable to their conventional attractiveness? Or is it their innate talent, their burning passion, their inherent benevolence, or their extraordinary ability to inspire that truly illuminates their presence? We have all encountered individuals who may not adhere to conventional standards of beauty yet possess an undeniable charisma and an unshakable confidence that captivates others. Conversely, we have likely also encountered those whose physical strikingness is overshadowed by a palpable absence of inner substance, perhaps grappling with insecurity or profound unhappiness. This starkly illustrates that the gameplay of life, the tapestry of our experiences, the depth of our relationships, the contributions we make is not dictated by the avatar's visual design. The player's skill, their deliberate choices, and the very spirit that animates them are the true sculptors of their journey and their ultimate triumph. Let us fully embrace this compelling analogy of the video game. Imagine yourself immersed in a simulation like The Sims. You can dedicate hours to meticulously crafting your sim, selecting their attire, their coiffure, their facial contours. You can imbue them with an appearance precisely to your liking. However, once the gameplay commences, once you begin to guide them through their daily routines, their life's trajectory, their professional endeavors, it is your decisions as the player that orchestrate their happiness and their success. Whether your sim sports a whimsical hairstyle or an impeccably tailored ensemble has no bearing on their capacity to acquire a new skill, ascend the corporate ladder, or forge enduring friendships. The gameplay, the sum of their lived experiences and accomplishments, is under your dominion as the player, not dictated by the ephemeral aesthetics of their avatar. Or consider a game such as Grand Theft Auto. You are afforded extensive latitude in customizing your character's appearance, yet once you venture onto the digital thoroughfares, it is your mastery of the controls, your strategic acumen in executing missions, and your adeptness at navigating the game's intricate world that propel your progress. Your character's subtle weight gain, or the addition of a new tattoo, does not suddenly render you a less proficient driver or incapable of orchestrating a complex heist. The core experience, the exhilaration, the challenge, the profound sense of achievement, these all emanate from the player's engagement and proficiency, not from the avatar's current visual state. The avatar serves merely as the visual conduit, the instrument through which the player interacts with the digital domain. This, in essence, mirrors the intricate dynamics of our own lives. Our physical bodies are our avatars within the grand simulation of existence. They are the vessels through which we apprehend the world, forge connections with others, and pursue our aspirations. Yet, much like in the realm of digital entertainment, the avatar's outward appearance is not the player's true essence. The player is endowed with unique aptitudes, a singular personality, a rich tapestry of lived experiences, and an inherent capacity for growth. These are the qualities that authentically define our worth, not the transient condition of our corporeal form. Therefore, how do we commence the cultivation of this inner fortitude, this self-assurance that emanates from within, this internal self-worth? It necessitates a conscious recalibration of our focus. Instead of posing the question, "How do I appear today?" we begin to inquire, "What capabilities do I possess today?" Or what positive impact can I effect today? It is about recognizing and cherishing the player's inherent skills. This entails actively celebrating our personal evolution, irrespective of its perceived magnitude. Did you assimilate novel knowledge? Did you navigate a challenging circumstance with poise? Did you extend kindness to another being? These are all triumphs of the player, and they far transcend any perceived imperfection in the avatar. The practice of self-compassion is likewise indispensable. When we falter or commit errors, our internal critic frequently fixates on our physical appearance or perceived bodily imperfections. Instead, we can endeavor to extend ourselves the same grace and understanding we would readily offer a cherished friend. We acknowledge our shared humanity, our ongoing process of learning, and the immutable truth that our worth is not imperiled by every misstep. Engaging in activities that bestow genuine delight and fulfillment, irrespective of our outward appearance while immersed in them, constitutes another potent strategy for fostering internal validation. Whether it is the uninhibited rhythm of dancing in your living room, the expressive strokes of a paintbrush, or the invigorating exertion of a sporting endeavor, these moments are about the player reveling in the game, not about the avatar's visual presentation. The pervasive societal narrative that equates physical allure with intrinsic value actively undermines the development of authentic, internalized confidence. This ingrained conditioning instills the belief that our worth is contingent, beholden to external factors that lie largely beyond our dominion and are subject to ceaseless transformation. The tangible psychological repercussions of this are profound. It precipitates widespread apprehension regarding the ravages of time, the fluctuations of weight, and the specter of perceived imperfections. It fuels a corrosive cycle of comparison, envy, and an unremitting pursuit of unattainable ideals. We risk succumbing to disordered eating patterns, engaging in gratuitous cosmetic interventions, or retreating from social engagement, all because our fundamental sense of self is tethered to the precarious bedrock of our physical appearance. This engenders a vicious cycle of insecurity wherein every perceived flaw becomes a source of profound distress, and every compliment regarding our looks feels like a fleeting reprieve rather than a genuine affirmation of our complete being. We become so fixated on maintaining the avatar's facade that we neglect the player's development and well-being. Beyond mere acknowledgement, what specific internal qualities or player skills can an individual actively cultivate to forge a robust sense of self-worth that is impervious to the vicissitudes of their physical appearance or the judgments of the external world? This is where the truly transformative work unfolds. Foremost, we cultivate resilience. This is the player's innate capacity to rebound from adversity. It is the understanding that a failed mission does not signify the game's conclusion, but rather an invaluable opportunity for learning and renewed endeavor. We forge resilience by confronting challenges directly, even when discomfort arises, and by steadfastly reminding ourselves that our inherent worth is not defined by our failures. Secondly, we nurture curiosity and a profound love for learning. This represents the player's intrinsic drive to explore and comprehend. When we immerse ourselves in the pursuit of knowledge, whether it be a novel pastime, an intellectually demanding discipline, or simply a deeper understanding of ourselves, our focus irrevocably shifts away from our outward appearance. Our minds become alight with activity, and our sense of accomplishment stems from the expansion of our intellectual horizons and the refinement of our skills. This intellectual engagement is a formidable wellspring of internal validation. Thirdly, we develop empathy and kindness. These are the player's essential instruments for forging profound connections and contributing constructively to the world. When we dedicate ourselves to understanding and supporting fellow beings, we tap into our most fundamental human attributes. The warmth of genuine camaraderie, the profound satisfaction derived from assisting another, and the comforting embrace of belonging are all potent affirmations of our inner value. These actions unequivocally demonstrate the player's inherent capacity for good, a far more enduring and meaningful measure of worth than any superficial physical attribute. Fourthly, we cultivate creativity and self-expression. This is the player's unique idiom for imprinting their essence upon the world. Whether manifested through artistic endeavors, literary pursuits, musical composition, ingenious problem-solving, or even the meticulous organization of our lives, creativity empowers us to articulate our individuality and discover profound joy in the very act of creation. The genesis of something novel, the courageous sharing of our distinct perspective, fosters an unshakable sense of self-efficacy and intrinsic worth. Finally, we cultivate self-awareness and acceptance. This is the player's profound comprehension of their own strengths, vulnerabilities, core values, and emotional landscape. It entails observing our avatar without the harsh lens of judgment, acknowledging its inherent imperfections, and embracing it as an integral component of our unfolding journey. This does not imply an abdication of responsibility for health or well-being. Rather, it signifies approaching our physical forms with profound care and unwavering respect, recognizing them as extraordinary vehicles for our experience, without permitting their appearance to dictate our internal equilibrium. When we cultivate self-awareness, we gain the discernment to identify those external voices that erroneously assert our worth is inextricably linked to our physical attributes, and we can consciously elect to attune ourselves to the resonant frequency of our own inner voice, the voice of the player who unequivocally comprehends their true value. By actively nurturing these players' skills, resilience, curiosity, empathy, creativity, and self-awareness, we construct an unassailable edifice of internal self-worth. This inner resilience serves as an impenetrable bulwark, rendering us significantly less susceptible to the ephemeral judgments of others or The inevitable transformations of our physical form. Our confidence ceases to be a dependent variable tethered to the avatar's statistics. It springs forth from the player's proven capacity to navigate, to learn, to connect, and to create. This, in essence, is the profound meaning of internal self-worth, a deep, unshakable conviction of value that originates from within, utterly independent of external determinants. It is the profound realization that the game itself is far more defined by the player's journey and the richness of their character than by the superficial appearance of their avatar at any given moment. Having firmly established that our true essence and inherent capabilities are profoundly independent of our physical form, the subsequent and critically important phase involves understanding how to actively cultivate and reinforce this internal sense of self. This leads us to a deeper exploration of the potent influence exerted by our thoughts and deeply held beliefs in shaping our perceived reality and, consequently, the very foundation of our confidence. 3. Self-acceptance journey. The path to genuine self-regard, that profound and enduring embrace of one's own being, is seldom a direct route. It more closely resembles the exploration of an expansive, thrilling new realm within a game replete with unexpected detours, sudden turns, and moments where one might feel adrift. For an age, many of us have been persuaded that our physical vessel, our avatar, is paramount. We are inundated with images of idealized avatars, accompanied by the directive, "This is the benchmark you must attain." Yet, what transpires when our own avatar deviates from this prescribed ideal? What becomes of it when it inevitably transforms? It is precisely here that the authentic odyssey of self-acceptance commences. Consider this: your body, much like a video game avatar, is the form you inhabit, the entity through which you perceive and interact. It is the conduit via which you apprehend the world. However, the architects of these digital worlds, or in the tapestry of our lives, society, and sometimes our own internal narratives, have a peculiar knack for conflating the avatar with the very essence of the character. They foster the belief that an imperfect avatar inherently signifies a flawed individual. This is a potent illusion, and the unraveling of it lies at the very heart of our journey towards self-acceptance. Our corporeal forms are in constant flux. This is an immutable law of existence, as natural as the turning of the seasons. Our bodies gain or shed weight, age, bear scars, etch wrinkles, or undergo a myriad of other transformations. These are akin to updates or patches applied to our avatar, or perhaps merely the natural wear and tear accrued from navigating the grand game of life. To tether our entire sense of worth to the ephemeral appearance of our avatar at any given instant is to court perpetual disillusionment. Imagine a gamer who abandons a beloved game every time their character acquires a new hairstyle they deem displeasing. They would forfeit an abundance of extraordinary quests, nascent friendships, hard-won victories, and the unfolding of epic sagas. The parallel holds true for us. When we subject ourselves to judgment based solely on our physical visage, we imperil our capacity to experience the sheer richness of our own lives. Thus, how do we embark on the path of embracing these transformations, of accepting ourselves, irrespective of our avatar's current presentation? It begins with a deliberate choice to scrutinize the game rules that have been ingrained in us. These are the unspoken, and at times vociferous, pronouncements from the world around us, dictating which avatars are deemed superior, and which are not. They proclaim the necessity of being slender or powerfully built or possessing unblemished skin or a particular coiffure. These dictates are frequently arbitrary, akin to a game designer decreeing that only avatars with azure eyes may claim a specific prize. They bear no correlation to our intrinsic value as human beings. To dismantle these edicts, we can commence by posing the questions: who established these rules? And do they truly serve my well-being? More often than not, we discover that these regulations were imposed by external forces and failed to resonate with our deepest aspirations or our inherent worth. It is akin to participating in a game where all players are vying for the same rare artifact, while your own desire is to unearth hidden grottos. Adhering to another's directives when they diverge from your personal objectives is an unfailing recipe for frustration. We must cultivate the ability to govern ourselves by our own internal principles, principles that champion compassion, fortitude, inventiveness, and all the extraordinary qualities that constitute our unique selves. This is the juncture at which we truly begin to discern the distinction between the avatar and the player. The player is your authentic self. It is your consciousness, your spirit, your singular personality, your accumulated memories, your cherished dreams, your guiding values, and your capacity to think, to feel, and to love. The avatar is merely the visual manifestation of that player within the world. In the realm of video games, one can alter a character's attire, their hair hue, even their entire species, yet the player guiding the controls remains immutable. Your fundamental self, your internal wellspring of self-worth, is analogous to that player. It undergoes no alterations simply because your physical form does. Recall a moment when you felt an overwhelming sense of pride in an accomplishment. Perhaps you extended aid to a friend, mastered a new proficiency, resolved a complex dilemma, or simply exhibited remarkable patience. Did that sensation of fulfillment hinge upon your appearance on that particular day? That feeling emanated from your inner resilience, your diligent effort, your character. That is your player radiating its essence. The voyage of self-acceptance is predicated upon learning to forge a connection with that player, to acknowledge its inherent strength and value independently of the avatar's outward guise. To achieve this, we must practice in-game self-compassion. This constitutes a vital segment of our journey. When we falter within a game, or when our avatar fails to perform as anticipated, we rarely engage in prolonged self-recrimination. We might experience a flicker of frustration, but then we learn, we adapt, and we persevere. This same leniency must be extended to ourselves in our lived reality. If you are enduring a dispiriting day regarding your body image, or if you perceive your avatar as falling short of those societal game standards, endeavor to converse with yourself as you would a cherished confidant navigating similar tribulations. Instead of succumbing to the thought, "I appear utterly dreadful today," opt for a more benevolent internal dialogue, such as, "This is a challenging day for my body image, yet my worth is not dictated by my appearance. I remain a person of inherent goodness, possessing a multitude of admirable attributes." This is not an exercise in disavowing your emotions. It is about acknowledging them without permitting them to define your totality. It is about recognizing that your avatar is experiencing a difficult interlude, but the player within is resilient and deserving of profound affection. Self-compassion is akin to bestowing a power-up upon your player precisely when it is most needed. One of the most potent avenues for nurturing this internal sense of self-worth is by commemorating the player's triumphs. We are so profoundly conditioned to fixate on external accolades associated with our avatar receiving compliments on our looks, fitting into a specific clothing size, or achieving a designated level of physical fitness. However, genuine self-worth is derived from recognizing and cherishing the achievements of our inner selves. These are the accomplishments that are unequivocally ours, irrespective of our physical form. What, then, constitutes these player achievements? They are the instances where you have demonstrated resilience in the face of adversity. They are the moments when you have acquired new knowledge and broadened your comprehension of the world. They are the acts of benevolence you have extended to others, the courage you have mustered to articulate your truth, the creativity you have expressed, and the love you have both given and received. These are the elements that construct a robust, confident, and invaluable player. Let us contemplate a character within a game who may not possess the most formidable armor or the most dazzling weaponry, yet commands exceptional strategic acumen, unwavering loyalty, and a heart of pure gold. They might not triumph in every skirmish based on their equipment, but they ultimately conquer the game through the sheer force of their character. This is our aspiration. We aim to recognize and celebrate the strategic thinking, the loyalty, and the heart of gold that reside within us. How can we actively identify and challenge those internalized game rules of beauty and physical desirability? It demands consistent practice. Begin by observing when you are self-critical or critical of others based on their appearance. Inquire as to the genesis of that particular thought. Is it a deeply held conviction, or is it merely an echo from the game lobby dictating your perspective? You can also consciously seek out a diverse spectrum of human representation in both media and everyday life, thereby witnessing that beauty and worth manifest in an infinite array of shapes, sizes, and forms. Actively engage with content that extols intrinsic qualities above outward appearance. Forge your own personal rulebook that prioritizes kindness, intelligence, wit, and empathy above all else. What specific, tangible practices can we implement daily to reinforce the distinction between our physical avatar and our core player self, especially during moments of physical dissatisfaction? Firstly, commence your day with an affirmative declaration that centers on your intrinsic qualities, rather than your physical attributes. Something along the lines of, I am more than my body. I am kind, I am intelligent, and I am worthy. Recite it aloud or in the quiet recesses of your mind. Secondly, when you find yourself fixating negatively on your appearance, consciously redirect your thoughts. Acknowledge the intrusive thought, okay, I am currently noticing my body, and then deliberately shift your focus to something you admire about yourself internally or to something for which you feel gratitude. This is akin to changing the channel within your mental landscape. Thirdly, engage in activities that foster a sense of well-being from the inside out. This might encompass reading, immersing yourself in music, communing with nature, creating art, or connecting with loved ones. These pursuits serve as potent reminders of your inherent capabilities and your capacity for joy, which are undeniably player-based achievements. Fourthly, cultivate mindfulness. This entails paying deliberate attention to the present moment without recourse to judgment. When you are partaking in a meal, focus solely on the interplay of flavors and textures. When you are walking, attune yourself to the sensation of your feet upon the ground. This practice enhances your awareness of your holistic experience, liberating you from an exclusive preoccupation with your physical form. How can the concept of player achievements be applied to recognize and value internal growth, resilience, and personal milestones that are unrelated to physical appearance? It is about the creation of a personal achievement log for your inner self. Whenever you surmount a fear, acquire a new skill, navigate a challenging situation with grace, or simply elect to exhibit kindness when it is arduous, acknowledge it as a genuine achievement. You can meticulously record these instances in a journal, share them with a trusted companion, or simply pause for a moment to offer yourself a mental pat on the back. These are the true victories, the ones that forge an unshakable foundation of self-worth. For instance, if you have been grappling with a formidable task at work or in your personal life and you ultimately devise a solution or persevere through the ordeal, that represents a monumental player achievement. It unequivocally demonstrates your problem-solving prowess, your unwavering persistence, your keen intellect. If you have been actively striving to be a more patient parent or partner, and you experience a moment where you respond with equanimity rather than exasperation, that is another extraordinary triumph. These junctures are the very building blocks of your internal self-worth, the irrefutable evidence that your core essence is robust and capable, irrespective of your avatar's current visual presentation. This journey of self-acceptance is fundamentally about recognizing that the most precious aspects of your being are impervious to the fleeting whims of fashion or the inexorable march of time. They are the enduring qualities of your spirit. By redirecting our focus from the external avatar to the internal player, we unlock a profound and enduring sense of confidence and inherent value. We learn to embrace every transformation our avatar may undergo, secure in the knowledge that the true, magnificent you remains, constant and profoundly worthy. As we continue to delve into this concept, it becomes increasingly evident that accepting our physical form is merely the initial step. The true power resides in the active cultivation of the qualities that define us. This leads us to the exhilarating prospect of inner skill development, where we shall embark on discovering how to truly refine those attributes that empower us, rendering our internal player more formidable and capable than ever before. 4. Redefining self-worth. For too long, we have tethered our sense of self and our inherent value to the fleeting reflections in the mirror. It is as if we have been schooled from birth to believe that a car's worth is solely in its polished chrome, its gleaming paint, and its sculpted contours. A scratch on the finish, a minor dent, and suddenly, its entire value seems to evaporate. This narrative, so pervasively woven into the fabric of our society, leaves us perpetually unsettled, adrift in a sea of anxiety, perpetually convinced of our own inadequacy. Consider the relentless barrage of imagery that saturates our lives, each one a subtle, insistent whisper that our worth is measured by our outward appearance. Magazines parade impossibly idealized forms, advertisements peddle happiness as a purchasable commodity, and even casual discourse often devolves into a tacit competition of aesthetic appeal. This ceaseless pressure can ensnare us, convincing us that our bodies are our paramount feature, and that any deviation from an arbitrary, manufactured ideal renders us fundamentally deficient. This, then, is the seductive illusion of externally imposed worth, the notion that our value originates from without, from transient qualities, susceptible to the ravages of time and the whims of fashion. It is a foundation built on sand destined to crumble. I recall a period when I experienced a modest weight gain. Not a dramatic transformation, but enough to render my favorite jeans snug and my reflections subtly altered. In that instant, the internalized chorus of societal pronouncements began its insidious refrain. I was less attractive, less assured, and, by extension, less worthy. It felt as though my avatar had encountered a temporary glitch, and because of it, I had diminished in value. Such is the insidious grip of an externally defined worth. We begin to equate the avatar's perceived shortcomings with a flaw in the player, the very essence of our being. But what if this entire premise is fundamentally flawed? What if our physical form is not the protagonist, but rather a sophisticated instrument, a vessel, a conduit for expression? This is where the analogy of the video game avatar transcends mere metaphor and becomes a potent paradigm. In the realm of digital gaming, we meticulously craft characters, bestowing upon them appearances, attire, and often fantastical attributes. This avatar is our digital surrogate, our presence within the game's universe. It navigates, interacts, and experiences. Yet, is this avatar truly you? Or is it the instrument through which you, the player, engage with the simulated reality? Imagine this. In a sprawling fantasy role-playing game, you might engineer a formidable warrior, their physique sculpted by digital sinew, their beard a testament to digital virility. Yet, you, the player, might possess a mind that relishes strategic planning and intricate puzzles far more than brute force. Or perhaps you are navigating the game as a character of perceived clumsiness, while you, the player, possess an uncanny knack for uncovering hidden pathways. The avatar's appearance, even its initial statistical configuration, bears no dominion over your capacity to play, your immersion in the narrative, or your ingenuity in overcoming obstacles. It is the player's acumen, their discernment, their perseverance. These are the elements that truly imbue significance within the game's intricate tapestry. This, then, is the crucial distinction we must embrace. Your physical body is your avatar. It is the remarkable, intricate, and at times imperfect manifestation you inhabit in the tangible world. It is the means by which you engage with your surroundings, the canvas upon which you paint your self-expression, and the instrument through which you experience the spectrum of life. Yet it is not the totality of you. You are the player. You are the consciousness, the awareness, the sentient being that feels, learns, loves, and makes choices. Your capacity for joy, your unique brand of humor, your unwavering resilience in the face of adversity, your boundless creativity, your innate kindness. These are the fundamental attributes of the player. They remain utterly divorced from the avatar's dimensions, its hue, its age, or its form. The moment this realization dawned upon me, it was as if a profound illumination swept through my being. My weight gain did not diminish my capacity to feel profound love for my family, nor did it erode my faculty for critical thought, nor did it extinguish my ability to find solace in the pages of a good book. My avatar had undergone a superficial alteration, but the player, the irreducible core of my identity, remained immutable. The value I contributed to my relationships, the expertise I brought to my professional endeavors, the singular lens through which I perceived the world, none of these were in any way compromised by a shift in my avatar's outward presentation. This, precisely, is why intrinsic qualities form the bedrock of authentic self-worth. They are the enduring hallmarks of the player. Your kindness, for instance, is a benevolent offering to the world, a radiant emanation of your inner self. It does not wane with the passage of years nor ebb with the changing seasons. Your resilience, your innate ability to surmount hardship, stands as a testament to your inner fortitude. This strength, invisible to the outward gaze, is profoundly felt and demonstrably lived. Your creativity, your unique perspective, your capacity to conjure novel ideas into being, is a spark ignited from your innermost essence. It is utterly uncoupled from the curve of your nose or the color of your eyes. These intrinsic qualities are the true treasures, the very essence of what makes you, you, at your most profound level. Consider the inimitable Jack Black. While he may not conform to conventional Hollywood archetypes of leading men, nor possess the physique of a typical action hero, his presence on screen, and indeed in any interview, radiates an astonishing vitality. He is hilariously witty, passionately engaged, undeniably gifted, and seems to inhabit his skin with an effortless grace. Audiences are captivated not by his physical form, but by his effervescent personality, his infectious enthusiasm, and his undeniable charisma. He embodies his avatar with an unreserved authenticity, but his appeal stems from the potent player that resides within. He eschews pretense, embracing his true self with an unvarnished conviction, a quality that proves irresistibly magnetic. He has, in essence, redefined stardom, demonstrating that unshakable confidence and profound talent, when fully realized, possess a far more compelling allure than any meticulously sculpted physique. His self-worth is not contingent upon fitting a predetermined mold. It is a natural, unforced effluence of his singular essence. Therefore, rather than engaging in an endless, Sisyphean effort to correct our avatars in pursuit of external approbation, we must fundamentally reorient our focus. This is where self-acceptance emerges not as a passive concession, but as an active, embracing embrace. Frequently, the discourse surrounding self-improvement is fueled by an insidious sense of inadequacy. We identify a perceived imperfection in our avatar, perhaps an extra curve, a nascent wrinkle, or a faint scar, and erroneously conclude that until this blemish is eradicated, we are utterly unworthy of affection or happiness. This relentless pursuit of self-worth through avatar remediation is a treadmill to nowhere. There will invariably be another alteration to pursue, another societal standard to meet. True self-worth, however, commences with an unreserved acceptance of our avatar as it exists in this very moment. It is the acknowledgement that this is the vessel that carries us through life, the means by which we apprehend the world. Acceptance does not imply a dereliction of our health or well-being. On the contrary, it signifies a shift in our motivations. It means that our choices originate from a place of self-love, rather than from a wellspring of self-rejection. When we embrace our avatar, we liberate ourselves from the exhausting struggle against it. This acceptance then cultivates the fertile ground from which genuine self-love can blossom. From this vantage point of love, any subsequent modifications, whether they involve nourishing our bodies, engaging in physical activity, or adopting A new aesthetic will stem from a profound desire to honor and care for ourselves, not from a desperate gambit for validation. Consider it in this light. If your game console bears the marks of age and a few minor scuffs, yet it flawlessly renders all your cherished games, do you discard it? Or do you appreciate its functionality, the wealth of experiences it provides? You might even give it a gentle cleaning and adorn it with a vibrant sticker, not out of disdain, but out of a recognition of its value and a desire to show it due care. This, in essence, is acceptance. You acknowledge its utility, its history, and the joy it imparts irrespective of its external condition. This paradigm shift is not an act of disregard for our physical selves. It is a recalibration of priorities. It is the understanding that while our avatar is indispensable for navigating the world, it is not the fount of our intrinsic value. Our true worth, our internal self-worth, is the unshakable conviction of being inherently good and valuable simply by virtue of our existence. It is the quiet confidence that arises from the knowledge that our kindness, our intellect, our resilience, and our capacity for love are immutable qualities that no superficial physical alteration can ever diminish. So, how do we embark on the journey of identifying these fundamental player qualities within ourselves? It begins with introspection, with posing a different caliber of questions. Instead of querying, "What do I look like today?" endeavor to ask, "When today did I exhibit genuine kindness? Or in what instance did I demonstrate resilience in the face of a challenge? Or what idea or creation emerged that felt uniquely mine?" These inquiries serve to redirect our attention inward, toward the player, the conscious entity that is actively engaging with life. It is about recognizing that the player possesses agency, intentions, and experiences that are immeasurably richer and more complex than any avatar could ever fully encapsulate. The player is the one who gleans wisdom from missteps, who experiences profound empathy, who dares to dream expansively, and who forge deep connections with others. These are the facets of ourselves that truly define our worth, and they are perpetually present, irrespective of any metamorphosis our avatar may undergo. This redefinition of self-worth is a journey, not an instantaneous metamorphosis. It is a process of gentle, persistent redirection of our focus from the external casing to the internal engine. It is the realization that our value is not a fluctuating metric determined by our avatar's compliance with society's ever-shifting beauty pageant. Our value is inherent, a birthright, an immutable truth of our being. And once we begin to truly internalize this profound understanding, we unlock a reservoir of confidence and tranquility that is utterly unassailable, a confidence that springs not from external accolades, but from the deep, quiet certainty of our own intrinsic, unalterable worth. Having initiated the dismantling of the externally imposed definition of self-worth and begun to grasp the fundamental dichotomy between our avatar and our authentic self, the subsequent, indispensable step is to actively cultivate this internal bedrock. We must learn to inhabit our avatars with an unwavering sense of purpose and self-assurance, not as a means to solicit external validation, but as a radiant expression of our inherent value. This naturally propels us toward an exploration of how to intentionally construct and fortify this internal reservoir of self-worth, transcending mere intellectual comprehension to achieve tangible embodiment. Conclusion: we have delved into the intricate ways we perceive ourselves, the significant portion of that self-image derived from our corporeal form. Envision it as a digital realm. We possess a character, an avatar, manifest on the screen. This avatar is mutable. It may acquire new raiment, a different coiffure, or even subtly alter its aspect as the narrative unfolds. Yet, the entity orchestrating the experience, the true player, remains immutable. We have observed how frequently we become ensnared by the superficial presentation of our avatar, eclipsing the magnificent individual, the player who is authentically navigating the grand game of existence. Society, at times, dictates that our value is intrinsically linked to our avatar's appearance as if it were the sole determinant of worth. However, the genuine treasure, the profound resilience, resides with the player, and it is from this wellspring that our internal self-worth flows. Throughout our exploration, we have unearthed the often convoluted nature of our relationship with our physical selves. We have contemplated how the incessant pressure to sculpt our avatar into a prescribed form, to conform to a specific archetype, can be an arduous and ultimately unfulfilling endeavor. It is akin to striving for victory in a game by fixating solely on the character's attire, disregarding the myriad of thrilling quests and challenges that await. We have discerned that the pursuit of external validation for our avatar, be it through assimilation, conforming to a particular aesthetic, or attaining a defined physical benchmark, is akin to chasing an illusion. Authentic confidence, the kind that endures, is not contingent upon the avatar's present guise or performance. It is a profound sentiment that originates from the deepest recesses of being, from the player. Our avatars will, by their very nature, possess their distinctive idiosyncrasies, their perceived imperfections, their transformations over time. These are not missteps, they are integral to the singular and authentic texture of our individual gameplay. Our internal self-worth is not diminished by these inherent characteristics. What truly holds significance is the player's vantage point. How we, as the player, elect to regard our avatar and our unfolding journey is what sculpts our experience, transcending mere visual representation on the screen. Thus, how do we effect this fundamental shift? How do we, as the player, commence the cultivation of our value from the interior outward? It commences with the deliberate act of turning our gaze inward, diverting it from the avatar's surface and directing it towards the rich tapestry of the player's inner world. Endeavor to acknowledge the instances when your thoughts gravitate towards your avatar's physical attributes and gently guide them elsewhere. Pose the question, what are my authentic strengths? Not the avatar's statistical prowess, but the player's intrinsic qualities. Are you compassionate? Are you indomitable? Are you imaginative? Are you an attentive listener? These are the true power-ups. When you find yourself harboring negative reflections about your avatar, extend to yourself the same kindness you would readily offer a cherished confidant. This odyssey of forging internal self-worth is not a singular event. It is a perpetual adventure akin to progressing through levels in a game. Each stride taken to nurture your inner essence is a triumph. It is about engaging with the game with profound intent, making choices that resonate with your core values and aspirations, rather than merely seeking to impress others with your avatar. Envision a life where you experience genuine self-assurance, not by virtue of your avatar's appearance, but because you possess an unshakable knowledge of your identity as a player. Contemplate the liberation that unfurls when the incessant anxieties surrounding external judgments or the imperative to conform to another's conception of perfection dissipate. This inner fortitude possesses the capacity to revolutionize every facet of your engagement with existence, your relationships, your endeavors, your aspirations. It is a potency that already resides within you, awaiting recognition. The ultimate triumph in this grand game of life is not predicated upon possessing the most aesthetically flawless avatar, but upon fully embracing and celebrating the extraordinary, unassailable internal self-worth of the player that you are. Proceed, player. Your avatar is but the vessel, your true dominion resides within. Engage with your game with an unyielding sense of self-worth.